Evie was our third child born. She was the first child born to us after we'd become Christians. We liked the name of Angeline, sending the good news, and we thought that was really appropriate. She was just a delight from the start. Just wonderful, healthy child. We lived in a little place called Teniroto. Clifford was the principal at Teniroto Primary. 2 weeks before her 9th birthday, she got the flu. It was something that Claudette and Isabella had had before her, but it was a Friday, and I thought, we'll take her and get her checked out. So I went into the Gisborne Medical Centre, and they didn't like the sound of her lung, and they said she ought to be checked over at the hospital. They thought perhaps she might have had some pneumonia.
They were having a party for us that night because we were leaving. I just got the job at Otari's school, so it was a farewell party for us. And I was at that. It had gone early. We'd gone and picked Rosanna up. She'd come home from boarding school, so all the kids were home. And Joanne rang and said that she actually didn't feel good about leaving Evie. She had this feeling that things weren't right.
And we were driving back to the hospital, and I remember Clifford said to me, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. We'd have had a phone call if there was anything wrong." When we were directed into the ICU room to see her connected to every tube imaginable, it was a shock. We just laid our hands on her and just prayed like crazy, completely believing that God would deal with this and that she would be healed and I'd be taking her home in a few days. They actually decided they wanted to take her to Auckland, where they could administer more powerful drugs that they had hoped would, stop everything from corroding. It was a really kind of a stormy night. They couldn't get the chopper to work. It just wasn't appropriate to use the helicopter, so we were bundled into a plane. She didn't make it. She died kind of halfway from Gisborne Hospital to Starship.
They had revived her a couple of times, and then they just they had to stop.
It's such a numbing experience. Most deaths are probably very much like that, but this was a child that was so full of life. It was absolutely overwhelming.
She had a beautiful expression on her face. So we were with her for a little while, and then we had to drive back to Teniroto to tell our children that their sister had died. Of course, that was very hard and very difficult for them.
Losing Evie made me feel like I'd lost everybody. I felt like all of my children had gone.
Exactly a month after she died, I started my new job, and we had a porphyry at Otari, and the children were singing, and it was very moving to hear them. They welcomed us and they spoke about our family, and they talked about Evie, which was so wonderful. They said, "Your loss is our loss." I just knew we were in the place that we were meant to be.
God worked through people. People, provided meals. People provided time. People listened to me tell that same story as I've said time and time again. Odd people, shopkeepers, people waiting at bus stops. People who are grieving need to be able to tell their story. And I think God put loads of people in my path that allowed me to heal that way.
There are things that happen, even amidst grief, that make you laugh. We had this CD that had been made of all the songs that Evie liked, and we put it on one Saturday. I must have had tears going down my face, and Isabella came over and said, "Oh, Dad, don't worry, don't cry. You'll see her again. In fact, you'll probably be the first one."
This year does commemorate 20 years since her death, so she would be 29 years old this July.
And we can still hear her giggle and imagine the feeling of her hand, can't we?
Absolutely.